Hello Virgo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Virgo November 2022 Astrology Horoscope forecast. If you'd like to have more free goodies to help you make the most of the starry possibilities, go to the link underneath the podcast or video to see the links that will bring you to those goodies. So this is for you if Virgo is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other placement of Virgo. What we're going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. And if you're a very late degree Virgo, so we'll say September 15th through the rest of the sign, or if you have placements around 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, then I also suggest you listen to my Libra forecast, as both the Virgo and the Libra readings will be relevant for you very late degree friends. So as usual, we have a lot to discuss. We have Jupiter going direct. Finally, we have the second eclipse in the eclipse season that has been brewing since the beginning of September. And we have a lot of energy in Scorpio and moving energy into Sagittarius, as well as grand water trine energy. So we're going to talk about all of this as it relates to Virgo placements. So the first thing that I want to talk about has to do with, and actually the name of this that I'm calling this video is Take These Action Steps Now for the Most Joy and Productivity This Month. It's a little long, but it is very much encapsulating what I'm going to do for you here. I'm going to illustrate the energies of the placements and tell you what you can do with them for the most joy. So Jupiter, the big gas giant, the ruler of optimism and enthusiasm and expansion and growth, is going direct this month finally. Although it doesn't go direct until November 23rd, you will start feeling things moving forward sooner than that. Things that had started to slow down, especially around July, maybe they were going forward at a rapid rate, and all of a sudden they came to a screeching halt or went into the backdrop, and you're like, what the heck happened? Probably what happens is Jupiter went retrograde, and now those things are very likely to pick up speed and momentum. And this is likely going to happen even though we are getting deeper into Mars retrograde, which we will get into next. But Jupiter is a bigger planet than Mars, and you will definitely notice that despite the retrograde theme that we have from the Mars perspective for an extended period of time, that certain things will pick up speed and start moving forward. Now that can happen in any area of life, but specifically for Virgos, you've got your 8th house aspected. So it's a good time for you to consciously, intentionally use this energy, or you will notice these things happening regardless of what your actions are. So the areas that it's good to take action steps in: estate planning, anything having to do with legal settlements. Now, I'm not saying to file legal proceedings because there is a little bit of a guideline against that when Mars is in retrograde. But if something was in process and you have to take some action steps to continue moving along, you might notice those things moving forward. Doing anything having to do with your business or your work or your shared money, there is a really nice open window for taking some important actions there or dealing with the things that come up. It's also a good time to buy a lotto ticket, as I've been talking about for you. No, I'm not advocating gambling. And if you can't afford it, then don't do it. But you're more lucky with money, getting money from nowhere, from anywhere, when Jupiter is in your 8th house. And when it was in retrograde, maybe some stuff came in, but now that it's direct, it makes it more likely that that's going to be delivered to you. So if you are supposed to have money coming to you from a settlement, from something else, Jupiter going direct is more likely going to bring that to you at this time. So especially between now and like May of 2023, this area is very much activated and you just could be more lucky with money. Okay, so it's just something to be aware of. Okay, so the next thing to know, and then we'll talk about the associated action steps, is that Mars is in retrograde. Now, we had a very long prelude to Mars being in retrograde because its pre-shadow period started at the beginning of September, and then it didn't actually go retrograde until October 30th, which is just a couple of days before, the time period that this forecast is taking place. So that means that some people will start getting very lazy, or certain things that were moving forward in certain areas may start slowing down. So the big key here, the biggest action steps to take, are to observe in your life the places where you're trying to force something and you're getting the keynote of Mars retrograde, frustration, and take some pressure off of that, take the foot off the gas there, and then apply it towards the things that are racing forward in the Jupiter areas, okay? So you are going to notice that Some things are really just shutting down and losing energy, and some things are gaining energy and gaining momentum. And it sounds simple, but surprisingly, people don't tend to do this, right? We tend to get our feet in the ground and say, okay, we're going to make this happen. And there are times when the stars are saying, yes, it's time to push things through regardless of the obstacles. But this is one of those periods of time where if you find you're running into a brick wall, you're not making headway, you're getting frustrated, people aren't showing up, things are not flowing, it's very well indicated to take some pressure off of that, and either to do that in different ways, try different things, or look at it through a different perspective, or to just move towards the things that are flowing for you. And this simple action step can actually completely change how you experience this period of time. Okay, so you might notice that you're getting really hot on certain things, like very passionate, very obsessed with, because Mars does rule some obsessive energies. It is a co-ruler of Scorpio. And when Mars energies shift, we notice a change in energy. It's not always just a universal slowdown. Sometimes it's I don't feel like dealing with that anymore, but I really want to do this. So you'll notice that you're hot on something. And if it's flowing and you're not frustrated, then it's good to align your energies with that. Okay, so although this energy can manifest in any way, there is a specific connection between your work and career sector, employment, business, and also passion projects that may or may not have anything to do with money. I get often asked, when you're talking about this 10th house, what about me? I'm retired, or I'm independently wealthy, or money isn't an issue. And this is still very relevant for you in the way that you may have something that you've been always wanting to do, you've been wanting to bring out, that may or may not have any involvement with money. And this rules those big projects for you, whether they're linked to your vocation or not. And sometimes our highest expression may have nothing to do with our vocation, so something that you're supposed to be doing could be something that's highlighted here, whether it has anything to do with your job or not, okay? So Mars is going to be shifting energy there. It may start to bring some things from the past about frustrations or how you use your energy, and it will give you the opportunity to heal those things and also to restructure how you use your energy. So you have a chance to look at things differently in your workspace, and that is very well aligned to take action steps there. So for instance, maybe you haven't been working enough and it's in the flow for you to start, getting more dedicated to your workspace. Okay, then do that. Maybe you've been working too much and it's time to take a break. Mars retrograde is actually one of my favorite times for staycations, or just kind of not having an agenda, taking your focus off of trying to make something happen and just kind of being present with what you've already created. So all of those are really great action steps for you to take and to match up with the energies. Okay, so the next information that I want to talk about, and then associated action steps, have to do with the energies in Scorpio. So we've got Mercury, the Sun, Venus transiting South Node. The first three are going to pass into Sagittarius as the month goes on. The transiting South Node will still be in Scorpio for a while to come. But we have a lot of Scorpio energy. And for Virgos, this is really great because this makes the 60-degree angle of ingredients on a counter where you may have lots of stuff that you need to create a wonderful pie come in. But you have to do exactly that. You have to take action. And as long as those actions aren't making you frustrated and, running into a bunch of obstacles, you can actually be super productive at this time. Other people and other people's money and your shared resources are going to factor in very greatly to the storyline here at this time, because the Scorpio energies are about merging, are about connecting, are about intimacy, are about taking the time to emotionally connect with people, like stepping out of the obligation, stepping out of the productivity mode, and really stepping into the emotions of people and the connections with other people, and some kind words or a few minutes spent helping someone, a coworker, or someone that you partner with, your partner, or even anyone else in your household. Some quiet, kind words and sentiments can actually go a really long way for productivity and advancement at this time if you can just slow down and just let the emotions dictate what goes on instead of the to-do list. So these emotional energies may come to you, or you may use them consciously to go directly into them yourself, which is why I like to let you know what's going on so you can consciously use the energies. But either way, the first half or so of the month is going to be a lot of emotion. And this is a carryover, first of all, from the eclipse season being present. Second of all, eclipses in this water realm. And just the general Scorpio energies tend to make this a time when you're either showing up for other people emotionally, and it is a good action step to do that, or you're showing up emotionally for yourself. And then as the month goes on, the energies are going to change into Sagittarius. And as that happens, Jupiter is also going direct. It brings more enthusiasm, more buoyancy, more, creative spirit, stepping out of the emotion and into the actions. And this also puts a little bit of pressure on Virgo. This is a 90-degree angle, but it's very important to frame these stress points as something that actually can be positive. And I'm not sugarcoating it. I always tell you, like I'm telling you right now, this is a pressure point. Once the energies start getting into Sagittarius in the second part of November, the second half of November, you're going to feel those as pressure points. They're not as smooth a connection as all of those Scorpio placements are. And even though you will have things alleviated because of the lightening of the emotions, the pressure is going to be on, and the pressure is likely going to be on in your work sector. In your home sector. So you've got the work sector showing up from Mars, and now with the Sagittarius planets, you've got the kind of like the vices are on the home sector. So you're being pulled in these two different directions. Home stuff needs you, work stuff needs you, and and you're going to have to be present with all of those things. But if you are trying to sell a house, if you're trying to buy a house, if you're trying to fix up your house, if you're trying to, spend more time with family, all of these things are opening up, especially in the second part of November, and taking action steps along those lines are going to be very productive. Okay, so there's something that I wanted to tell you, and this is, if you've been watching my work for a while, you know that I always do my best to frame anything that's challenging or negative. If it's nasty, I'll just tell you. If it's pressured, I'll just tell you, okay? But then I take that and say, okay, but we don't have to fear that, because here's what you can do with it. And that's just how I am as someone with a lot of Sagittarius. It's just my nature to be that way. We confront the shadow, we work with the shadow, then we pass through it to get back to the positive. Now, since the last time I recorded horoscopes, several weeks ago, I have come to have some confirmation, scientific confirmation of studies that have been done that prove that how we experience stress, either like the foreboding of a future event or the current experience of something happening now, actually changes with our perspective about it. So we know that stress is the biggest killer of people. This is, linked to all of these chronic diseases. And you can feel stress sometimes sucking the life out of you, right? And this is really a very serious issue. However, when people reframe stress and have an easier time experiencing stress and have a way of working with it that feels positive and productive to them, it actually can cut mortality rates in half compared to people who are always feeling, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do anything, I can't, like the feeling into the victim role and really getting lost in the stress actually changes how your body's physiology experiences the stress. Now, along those lines, if you haven't already watched my video, Change Your Life in 2 minutes or Less, I am going to keep referring back to that because there's life-changing information in that video that can help you to start to experience stress differently right away. And that you can help to change your stress patterns and help to get your perspective back, and your perspective can help to change your experience. Okay, so this is a very practical tool. This is, it's always good to know that something that seems like it's positive and nice and yay, right, that there is actually science behind working with it in that way. So I just wanted to give you those tidbits. Okay, so we know the pressure is going to be on. We know that you will have a chance to have all of your balls up in the air and feel excited and fulfilled that you're keeping them up in all of these different areas of life. And that's just what's happening. So now let's dip back into these water energies, because I want to do a little bit more here. Besides us having all of the energies in Scorpio that I talked about, which, like I said, is at a nice angle for you, we also have a lot of energy in Pisces. And we also have energies from the star goddesses in Cancer. Now, if you're a person that is not looking at the star goddess placements, you would have missed this grand trine altogether, because Black Moon Lilith in Cancer and Pallas Athena in Cancer are what make the trine a grand trine. Because when there are two signs in the same element being aspected with each other. That's the 120-degree angle, which is the most favorable in all of astrology. And you have that going on. We all have that going on. It's for everybody, okay? But it's at a nicer angle or a more notable angle for you in that way. But then you add in the star goddesses, and now we have our storyline of a grand trine in water. That means that intuition will be more free-flowing. The tool that I give you in the Change Your Life in 2 Minutes video can actually help you to bypass the way that you bypass your prefrontal cortex. When we're in fight or flight, we actually cannot access the prefrontal cortex, which is what makes us different than, compared to other mammals, is that we have that. We have that higher knowledge, that higher learning, that higher connection, and really one could say intuition. But you don't have access to that when your body is in a state of fight or flight or freeze. And by doing that exercise, you can actually get out of that space. Now, from that space, and with the help of this water trine energy, you can access higher learning and understanding. You can access creative solutions in an easier way. And these are all action steps that you can take. They might just flow in for you without you trying, but knowing that they're working for you, that you can make big psychological healing headway. You can put your focus into these things, knowing that you're in a supreme time for advancing in these realms. So anything having to do with deeper connection with yourself and the divine and others is a really good way to go with your focus at this time. And also understanding that the energies that are lit up for Virgo when there are water aspects is actually your air aspects. Okay, so this is a nice combination where ideas, philosophies can start to blend in with the emotions behind those connections, which can assist in the manifestation process. All right, so you've got the 3rd house, the 7th house, the 11th houses being aspected with the water aspects, which bring in a very strong social component. Okay, so there's a chance to have your social connections be accelerated or improved or enhanced, and a chance for your fulfillment and your emotional expression and connection to be accentuated in the realms of your partnerships, your social networks, your social circles, your acquaintances, and your friends. So all of these are highlighted, and any steps in connecting with these people are going to be good action steps for this time. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about has to do with the eclipses. And this is very exciting for Virgo because the eclipse that's happening this month is in a fellow earth sign, which creating that trine, which we love and which, we're going to keep talking about here. So the Scorpio Taurus eclipse cycle started at the end of 2021, goes to the end of 2023. There are certain themes for everybody and certain themes per sign that are being brought up very strongly during these couple of years, okay? Now, the first eclipse in this cycle happened October 25th, and that's a 2-degree solar eclipse in Scorpio. All right, I talk about that in the October reports. We're not going to get into it here, but again, that's in a nice angle for you. So now we're talking about the November 8th, 16-degree in Taurus eclipse. Eclipses bring dramatic endings, triumphant new beginnings. Sometimes we have to say goodbye to things we don't want to, but when we have nice angles, it increases the odds that this will be, a positive thing and an easily recognized positive thing. And we also clear karma. I mean, the karma blasting that occurs during these heightened parts of these eclipse cycles are just we can't really even put them into words, how much karma you can blast. And what's the biggest way to blast karma is to really, really understand somebody else's situation. And sometimes the universe puts us in a situation that we had judged for the purpose of understanding it so that we can clear the judgments that we had on somebody else. So if you notice that you have certain judgments on certain things, the more you confront those judgments, the more you're going to be able to clear the karma. And if you're not actively, purposely doing that, which you can, because I'm telling you now this is a good time to do that, the more the universe may bring up those awarenesses. Now, the storylines for everyone in the zodiac are really going to be me and we and our stuff and your stuff and my self-sufficiency versus our, sufficiency, the emotional realms versus the practical realms, work, active work versus emotional work and emotional connection. All of these are themes that are coming up for everybody. But the themes that are really being highlighted in this eclipse cycle for Virgos has to do with gathering information and sharing information. Okay, so researching and then telling other people about it, researching and then utilizing, teaching and learning, travel, writing, publishing, speaking. Basically, Virgos, finding your voice. Okay, so in the midst of your service to others, as we know, many Virgo placements are very much in dedication to. This is a time where finding your voice just for your passion's sake, just for your expression's sake, can be very much indicated. And it can also be used to help other people, so it can do double duty. So you might find at the time of this eclipse, September, October, November into December, the active part of this eclipse cycle, you might find adventure calling you. You might find the draw to or the fulfillment of going to far places, traveling in other ways, like virtual things, international business, jumping deeply into learning languages and cultures, jumping deeply into education programs, or you yourself being in the role of the teacher. These are opportunities that are brought to you specifically as a Virgo with this eclipse cycle, and all Virgos can feel this. But the closer you are to 16 degrees, the closer you are going to experience this as a direct connection. So that is going to, we'll say 11 degrees through 21 degrees. I always like to give a 5-degree orb, with 16 degrees being the most potent kiss here. A kiss means a positive, notably positive interaction or experience or outcome. And from the birth dates, this is like September 1st through 11th, the closer to September 6th-ish, the more you get that kiss. All right, so something else that's important to note is that the eclipse is actually going to be conjunct the planet Uranus. So we've been talking about, if you haven't watched my video on the great conjunction that happened with Uranus and Mars and transiting North Node and the lingering of the Uranus and North Node connection that goes on for months, then definitely search for that. It's actually on my homepage as my landing page video at this time. And I highly recommend you watch that because it really is very much explaining a lot of the things that are happening now for many people, which is very similar to the storyline of eclipses where people are getting off a karmic path and stepping on a new path. So if you have really needed a change in your life, if you've really needed to, make positive change or experience positive change or have the will to change or, something very drastic and positive, this eclipse is actually making it more likely that you will have the courage to make the change, that you will have the resources to make the change, and that you will, make the change or the change will be made for you. So all of that is happening, and this can also be in the realm of just changing how you see things. As I talked about before, perspective can change everything, and the 9th house, which is where this is happening for you, is an area where it rules our perspectives on life. It rules religions, it rules spiritual ways of looking at things, it rules the bigger picture, like being on a mountain looking down at everything. And so your bigger picture views can have a very radical change at this time, either a shoring up and deepening of something that you already believed, a deepening of your convictions, or a change to something that feels more true and real and relevant for you at this time. So just be on the lookout for those types of shifts. Sometimes they're subtle, but they change everything. Okay, so in general, as you can see, we have a lot of support coming in. We've got a lot of energies that are nice angles for Virgo that are really surprisingly great. We've got a couple of those pressure points that are in the lesser of the aspects this month are the pressure point ones that are pulling you between work and home and, giving you some questions in those areas and just making things come up in a way where you're motivated to make some change, which can be a very positive thing. Okay, so I've given you a lot of information to work with to help you make the most of the starry possibilities. If you would like more free goodies from me, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com. That is the interface for all of the free goodies I make for you and all of my other offerings. And I also have blogs on that site, astrology blogs and more. You can go to CozyBySweetStarlight.com. This is a beautiful site if you haven't seen it yet. This is an astrology kissed nest where you can cozy in and learn about how astrology can help you in your daily experience, and also lots of tips for and spirit fuel for healthy living. If you want some free courses on unleashing your money magnet and wellness, you can go to lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. At that same website, which is my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, you can find my very transformational programs, including my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. If you want to be a professional astrologer and earn money as an astrologer, I can teach you how to do that from ground level all the way up to the professional level. Or if you just like to learn for your own personal development and helping friends and family, I can also help you there. And I have other courses that you can see there at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. If you're looking for readings or personalized astrology education packages, you can go to anniebclarity.com and see the options there. If you would like to get exclusive content access, so more content from me, helping you to understand your natal chart, giving you more goodies on the current and upcoming astrological transits. If you want to understand many ways that you can make tough astrological transits easier, you can find all that at anniebcastrology.com. Now for my books. I have 3 books that are available and more on the way. You can find Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe, on the shelf at all major booksellers in the Mind, Body, Spirit section. And that is a very beautiful hardcover, in-depth book. You can also get it online or at any indie bookstore. My other book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days. This is a non-denominational prayer and affirmation book. I've heard a lot of people carry it around in their bag with them and refer to it often. It's a beautiful book. You can find it through any major bookseller and online, also at indie stores. And my new release of my very first book, which is a spiritual novel called Tough Pill to Swallow. So it's a beautiful, supernatural, autobiographically inspired book. Tough Pill to Swallow is based on my experience working for Big Pharma decades ago, selling a drug that got recalled. And you'll see more about that in Tough Pill to Swallow, which you can also order online or order through any major bookseller or indie bookseller. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.